like 10 minutes in, right? So let's go like right here.
Let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted intent of doing us harm and
from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex change.
It's a public report that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries happened during his presidency.
Well, you know what? You got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in this presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassessment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas, at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
on plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans.
Brett Baier, he's like trying to keep up. I'm sure he's got so many questions to ask. What's up, folks? It's your boy Kicking It with Timmy B. We got part 2 of this disastrous interview with Kamala Harris and Fox News special report Brett Baier. It's October 16th, 2024. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like, share, and the subscribe button. Let's get right back into it.
In recent days, your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we have been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is
tell
about
pollsters,
turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding it.
Yeah, just go right back to Donald Trump. Yeah, he's like the scapegoat. You know, cue the Donald Trump scapegoat. Hard or easy question. Donald Trump scapegoat, please. Betty, Tom, well, someone give me a Trump excuse here. Come on. Yeah, it's that one. All right. Yeah. I can't with this lady. When do you start taking accountability for yourself? That has to be one of the most fundamentals, like principles, or just like things that just growing up, you being an adult, accountability, let alone you're a CEO, you're working for a company, you're an employee, whatever level, there's accountability on every single level, man. Why is this lady so afraid of accountability right now? It's so crazy. Stop blaming this guy. He's talking to you about you. So, like, if you want to separate yourself from him, talk about yourself. Start talking about these things that everyone's asking, trying to figure this stuff about you. We want to know about you. We want to know about your policies and what you could do. We want detailed, explained, clear, concise explanations of what you're about and how you could do it. We don't want to hear about being a middle class and all this other stuff. It's just like, come on. Someone, part of this lady's PR, someone get a hold of them. And like, if you want to even have a chance of repairing this landslide victory that it seems like Donald Trump is about to receive here, y'all need to get this together. This is insane.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
He said no. He said no, ma'am. I don't know what you're talking about.
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become, but listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president, one, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you...
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump...
The significance of that.
You call Donald Trump... he's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room. And he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is.
Why didn't she say something about it? When did she find out? When did you find out, Madam VP, that President Joe Biden just wasn't all there? His mental decline. When did you know? And why didn't you say something? And now you're going to be questioning Donald Trump's mental cognitive ability when the man is traveling to all these different places and speaking for just like so many hours. There's so many hours. You can look at all of it. Where's Joe Biden at? Where's Joe Biden at? Like, Joe Biden's not doing that. But you want to hold Donald Trump's cognitive ability in question when you didn't even hold your boss, the person above you, their health in question. Like, you didn't even, there's no accountability with these people, man. There's accountability, but not to them. There's always accountability to people that don't agree with them. And then she has the nerve to go over there and keep saying that Donald Trump is trying to do this, to do that to people that don't agree with him. Folks, this lady is like telling, it's so crazy. These folks have a thing to tell you what they're doing, but they put it on the other side. It's just so like kindergarten style stuff. It's just unreal. So unreal. Let's continue.
On the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best,
such a fake deflect. And then this lady had the nerve to smile too. Like, to think that that's something to smile about. People were worried about Joe Biden's health. People are worried about Joe Biden's health. The enemy of the United States are looking at his health and are like, this guy, he can't be taken serious, can he? And then this lady has the nerve to go shrug it off, and then they go throw it back on Donald Trump. These folks are insane.
Leaders of our national security community have all spoken out, even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
Madam Vice President, 2 more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the #1 threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, in the several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel, I was there. Most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself, and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
but those proxies were getting funded by
my commitment
Iran.
to that is unyielding and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to Donald Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually put Iran in check.
The estimates in billions.
It was during Donald Trump's
that
administration
go towards
that
the Iran regime.
That we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not to mention how Donald Trump has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers,
Hamas,
has diminished the significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
I would like that we would have a...
She doesn't want any of the stuff that he's putting out there to even... She doesn't want any of that to be, she doesn't want to address none of that. This lady, man, is just, it's so crazy. I just don't understand how anybody could be willing to vote for this person at this point. when she won't even answer simple questions. She won't let this man speak just because she is speaking and you're the VP and you feel like you have to do all this stuff. It's like, ma'am, this gentleman is conducting an interview with you. Please have some professional conduct to let him finish asking you the question. I just like, come on. It's so difficult. This lady's just popping off. It's just so unprofessional. It screams unhinged, deranged woman. Deranged. And she won't answer the question. Where's all this money going? Where is all the money going that's going over to East Palestine or Gaza? Where is the money going? How do we know? How do we know that the money that you folks keep sending over there on our behalf, how do we know that that's going to the people that need it, that actually need it, that are on the ground? How do we know that? She won't even go into all that. It's unacceptable, man.
A conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast.
This guy's looking at her like, bro, you cannot be serious. Wow.
That is presented for folks to make a decision
and there are critics
that they feel.
who look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're rapping me very hard here.
Wow. They're like, stop. Get this guy. Cut. Hey, Brett, come on, man. Come on. You're going to cut. Charlie, get the car ready. We're about to go. We're about to go to the next place here. We're about to cut this. We got other places to go. Brett. Yo.
I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things.
There's more to say. I have much more to say.
There are a lot of things that people want to learn about you and your policies, and that's why we invited you
I invite everyone
here.
to go to kamalaharris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do
and that's why we invited you here
our economy,
to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
America's military and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President,
and
they're giving me a hard rap
Well,
here.
I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Well, there it is, folks. There it is. What a disaster. Shout out to Baier. I feel like he held his own. It's unfortunate because I would have loved to have heard the rest of his questions. I would have loved to see the look on her face trying to answer simple questions that she's probably not used to being asked, because she, in my opinion, gets softball interview questions and interviews by these people that absolutely adore her. When Donald Trump, in my personal opinion, goes on multiple different news outlets, talks to all these different people of all walks of life, breeds, religions, creeds, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of people. I'm just flabbergasted how the ending just seals the deal for me. The ending seals the deal for me. It's very unprofessional. She got really heated at the end. She's just not used to being asked these questions. And guess what? If you're going to become the president of the United States and not sit in the basement and be the vice president, you're going to be asked and addressed tough questions. You're going to be put in a lot tougher positions. You're going to have a lot more difficult experiences dealing with dangerous people. You'll be dealing with all kinds of challenges. You need to be ready for this. And you got to be able to talk to folks that are outside of your echo chamber. Because the folks outside of your echo chamber are going to hold you accountable, and they're going to bring you different questions that you're not used to hearing. But there are a group of people that have those same questions for the same individual. They want to know. If you want to win those voters over, if you want those people to understand your point of view, you need to go onto these platforms. You need to talk to these kinds of people. If you really want to win the hearts and minds of the American people, if you want to win their vote, you got to talk to everybody. You got to be willing to, and you got to be willing to be asked tough questions. You got to actually provide clear, concise answers, and you're not giving this crazy, drawn out story about going down the street. It's just like, no, answer the questions. You know what I mean? I feel like personally, she owes these people an apology. The folks that lost their loved ones, to these folks that are coming over the border, attacking our young men and women. It's insane. I think that was a big highlight, especially for those individuals. And I think for the women, I'm sure the women are gonna look at this a little bit differently than I am, of course. I'm very interested in seeing what women think of this whole interview in general. I think this kind of sealed the deal. I'm hearing that there's a Joe Rogan appearance conversation that's been had, so that might happen. And then obviously Donald Trump might go on to Joe Rogan, is what I'm hearing as well. I think this sealed the deal. How are you separating yourself from Joe Biden? And these folks are getting clear, audio clips of just all these different topics. It's real hard for her to combat this stuff. It's real hard to combat this. Where's the accountability? If you want to be president, where's the accountability? Why are you not showing that you have messed up here? Your administration has messed up here big time. Where's the accountability in that? Why hasn't anybody been fired? The people that are leading to these failures, continuous failures over and over and over again. Where are the people being fired? Where's the accountability at? You know what I mean? It's just so many things. There's just so many things going on with this. So, I mean, I think it's clear to me that this race is already been set here. Now, we will see what happens, obviously. November 5th, go out there and go vote. Make sure you do your homework and your due diligence on the individual that you want to vote for the party that you want to vote for. Hopefully, you're already registered to vote. That's a big thing, but make sure you go vote on November 5th. It is very important because this will decide a lot of things for the country here for the next few years and on. And in my personal opinion. So anyway, what an interesting night that we had here. It's your boy Kicking It with Timmy B. What a blessing it was to provide this broadcast here to you tonight. We checked out at the end here Kamala Harris's Fox News interview. Wow. With Brett Baier. Shout out to Brett Baier. Very impressed with his interview. conducting skills. I thought he brought up a lot of great questions. Like I said, it's unfortunate that we weren't able to hear all of them. I would have loved to hear all of the questions, but that's okay. Because in the end, it comes down to what you're doing on November 5th. Make sure you get your butts out there and go vote and go do your homework. Drink water, stay healthy, and all that other good jazz. And I'll see you on the next episode of KIWTB Gaming. Bye.